always when there's like a technical thing that goes on before the show, it's always so weird starting. So it's going to feel weird. But we were sitting on the phone just now trying to get some technical stuff figured out. And so it seems like a strange place to begin, but I want to just first say who you are.
I am named Liz Montgomery. I guess that's who I am. And
that is who you are.
I just saw a thing where they were saying, like, you are not what your name is. You're not your body. So I just listened to that this morning, so it's hard to answer that question. But
well, that's interesting.
Liz Montgomery.
And you are
a nurse.
A very old friend of mine.
Oh, yeah.
No, I've known you my whole life. And we have pictures of us as at my 12th birthday party, which I am going to find and put up right when I say this particular thing. And everyone's going to see what we look like. And we look exactly the same. But what's so amazing about you is that all of the things, you know, you're an RN, you're a writer, you are a cancer survivor, you are somebody who was in the music business and worked on that side of things for a long time, and you are, you know, a former brownie, if I'm remembering correctly. So.
I was a former brownie. I didn't make it to the Girl Scouts because
me either. Girls like us didn't.
I was like done, you know. I didn't want to follow any directions. I didn't want to go sit in the woods.
I know.
like what do they call? Like badger scout, whatever they are. I don't know.
I don't even remember. I remember making my brother and father take me to the Pinewood Derby because I thought it was so much cooler. And my dad cut the heads off Luke Skywalker dolls and literally didn't even like buff the wood. It was still just the triangle of wood, and he glued the head of Luke Skywalker on the block of wood and just got some like wheels somehow to go on. And that was what my brother and I went and raced. I think mine was Han Solo.
Oh my God. No, I'm the one that like PEAK, which is Poconos Environmental Educational Center. You don't know. We went there in 8th grade, I think, right?
Yes.
I was so scared that my dad come get me. I was like, I'm out. I'm not dealing with this.
You were terrified? And
Stokes State Forest. I left I was like, I'm not doing this. I was a city girl from day one, you know?
Did you? Because when we were kids, they had like so many of those movies that took place in the woods. And the thing was, they used to tell us, and I don't know if you remember this, but they used to tell us that all of those movies were filmed up by us too. Oh, that's the camp and that's the place.
I worked at that camp. I worked at the camp where who's the one that like Friday the 13th, Michael Myers or Jason?
So it's true.
Oh yeah. It was in Stillwater. Yeah. And I'm not going to name the girl, but her father owned the camp. And
you knew the girl whose father owned the camp?
Yeah. So I worked there, a couple other people from Sparta. And I mean, like, I don't want to get arrested right now, but we had like sleepover like once every 2 weeks. And, you know, we may or may not have eaten some mushrooms.
Oh no.
And gone out into the night and like gone to the lake. And there's actual signs that says like Jason was here. I lost my shit.
Oh my God. After you accidentally ate some mushrooms.
Yeah. I think it was like in a salad.
After they somehow ended up ingested. I'll never quite figure out how that happened. However, that is the worst. You know, I never did that. I never trusted any of you people enough to like go to the woods and trip like balls with anybody. I was like, I'm not sure. Because they always say you have to have somebody there that you know like isn't going to torture you during it.
Meanwhile, in like this girl right here used to, at sleepovers, put like people's fingers in water to have them pee, strangle people.
Let me tell you something.
Like,
can I tell you that is still to this day, I kid you not, I wake up in bed like this. I feel so bad about it that I picked on that girl. And I was so like, there was no reason to do it. And I apologized to her. Her name was Claudia. And I was mean to her. And some of you girls that were at that party, you know what I'm talking about. And I don't feel good about it. It keeps me up at night. The other thing that it does. And so I'm apologizing. And it's the only time I was ever that mean. But here's the other thing that we did. We made people faint. Do you remember?
You know, I never was a participant. I never did it to anyone, nor did I ever have anyone do it to me. And I would just watch in awe, like, oh my God,
we would make each other we would take like 1,000 breaths and then you'd hold your breath and somebody would push on your chest and you'd like fall to the ground.
Nowadays, they do that for sexual pleasure.
Could you imagine, seriously, could you imagine walking into your basement and finding like 10, 11-year-olds pressing up against these, like all these like passed out like chicks in your basement? Like our parents never knew we were doing shit like that. To me, that's like terrifying.
Check.
What?
Never came down to check. No one ever came to my basement to check. I mean, my parents weren't even really there, but
they were just so happy that you were out of their hair.
Yeah.
So Liz, what the fuck? Coronavirus. So now you're going to be an RN for like 2 minutes. You're going to be all these different things during this interview. You're going to have,
I should put on a cap. My nurse.
Yeah, you're going to have like your Sybil moment. Do you ever see that movie Sybil?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Like you're going to have your Sally Field, like.
This is it?
Yeah. So first, as a nurse, this crazy shit that's going on that everybody obviously takes seriously, but also is kind of like, give me a break. Like it's both. And everybody has a complete right to they're all entitled to their opinion as far as I'm concerned. What do you think about all of it? You know, because I feel like there are a lot of people talking about how this is like bullshit, the whole thing. But then there's other people who say, and this is why I'm bringing it up, that like, it's actually worse than people think, you know, that it's, so what's your opinion on it?
Well, first of all, like you said, I think people are entitled to their opinion, but I'm also entitled to not listen to their opinion.
Well, I mean,
first of all, I actually am insulted by people who say that it's bullshit. In like what sense? Like, and like you see people in Michigan, like protesting
Yeah.
what? What are you protesting? A pandemic? Like, I don't understand. I mean, maybe it's because like in New York City, it's way worse. Like maybe if you're in a rural area, maybe you're not going to know somebody, but I know people that had coronavirus. I know one of my good friends died of coronavirus.
oh my God.
New York City up until 3 weeks ago.
Wow.
It's very real. It's very painful. The medical field is overworked. It's easily spreadable. I mean, it's so contagious.
Yeah.
Only nurses I have that I know have had it. Some did better than others. Luckily, none of my nurse friends ended up intubated, which is like on a ventilator.
Yeah.
But a good friend of mine, did pass away. Two friends actually, a chef and a rabbi that I'm friends with.
Oh my God. See, the thing that I'm going to make this full view so I can see you better. But the thing that's crazy, I mean, there's so many things that are fucking crazy about it, but like you were in New York City and you were kind of before anybody really, not to say that nobody knew, but like before it was really kind of like official, something's going on, you were in the city and like, it was insane, right? Like it started getting insane way before people realized it.
I was
out here, meaning
totally, because in January I was at a Chinese New Year's party.
Right.
We were talking about them, right? And that's in January. And as a nurse and someone, I have a weak immune system. So someone who has a weak immune system, I'm kind of always checking out for viruses and like what's happening. So I took it seriously from the beginning. And I was telling my parents, I'm like, this is going to be bad. And everyone's like, no, people are like, it's just a cold. Because a coronavirus is a cold too, right? There's like different strains of coronavirus.
Right.
But it was really scary. And then I was staying in Soho and they started boarding up the apartment, boarding up like stores. And all of a sudden, like nobody was in the streets. And it just got really scary. And mostly it was just like essential workers and homeless people. And I work with homeless people. So, I mean, it's nothing against them. But unfortunately, people who are, angry, they don't have any money. And like a nurse who just returned to Bellevue after having the coronavirus, she was attacked by 16 teenagers her first night back at work. Because like the streets are empty. 6,000 cops called out one day.
I know, I believe it. And there's actually been some conversation about crime possibly, even though it's down for right now because people are quarantining, but that ultimately it will spike because people are desperate, like more desperate than ever right now.
I agree. And I just moved into a new apartment and the person that moved me in, like I hired a moving company and one guy showed up to bring my stuff. And I was like, one guy, usually it's like 4 guys, 6
Yeah.
And I was like, is it just you? He's like, it's just me. And I was like, okay. So then I started talking to him and long story short, he was saying that no drivers want to work. And I was like, I would think they would want to. He's like, oh no. He's like, I don't know if you know anything about the trucking business. I'm like, I don't, but during times of like Great Depression and during times of any kind of, stock market plunging or whatever, truck drivers have always been a target to get robbed. So a lot of these guys are not doing it. And he went to pick up a friend of his in Atlanta to help him move me in, and he couldn't get a hold of him. And he found out that this guy's son was murdered. He's also a mover, was murdered for the money in his truck.
Oh my God.
And he said, it's not unusual. Like it never doesn't, like it happens, but he said there's an uptick in it during time. So it's like every kind of person, you know, like we don't think about like truckers or whoever, you know?
No, of course. You don't think about, I mean, that's partly too why I'm trying to do this thing. I think that people, I think one of the things I love about podcasts is that I get to learn more about a subject than maybe just top lining something, and just talking to people about like another way to think or another thing to sort of consider or another opinion. I feel like the long form nature of this kind of conversation is so important, because I do think that like things fit in people's ears differently, and you never know. There just could be something that's said that changes people's minds about things in a positive way. And I feel like this conversation is one of those things. Like when I don't think, I think that Americans in general, and I am one, and I'm proud to be American. I'm not even trying to be like stupid. I'm dead serious. Like it's a great country. There's no question about that. I wouldn't want to have been born anywhere else. But
I mean, I don't know. There's a few countries where there's like really hot guys.
Well, there's really hot guys, and also free healthcare. But beyond that, I do love it. And so my thing that I was going to say is that like, I don't think that Americans, we appreciate so much like everything that we do have. And that something like this happens and we just like I know for me, like, at first I was like, it's cool. I'm an artist. I got this. It's fine. I'll write songs, and I'll do a thing, and I'll do a podcast, and I'll make dinners, and I'll get into it. I'll plant things, you know, and I did all of those things. But I do think that like this played on my mind a lot, and it scared me, and it made me in some ways like super in my ego, like as far as what does this mean for me? What is this going to happen? Like how's this going to happen to me? And like, what am I going to do after this? Like being really micro in my thought, as opposed to being super macro in my thought, and being like, listen, this is just something that's happening to the world. And like, who are you to protest? Like I had to kind of check myself, and I was surprised how hard it was at certain points of this so far to go with the flow and not feel scared, you know? And you have a lot of experience with that, like that one day at a time shit, you know?
Yeah. I mean, like, I think it's okay to be scared. When I had, you know, cancer, I've felt this isolation before.
Right.
I'm not saying like, listen, it wasn't contagious, right? Like I couldn't give my cancer to other people. But like I've sat in stillness for like a year and a half, you know? And it's not fun, and it is scary, and like you wonder about your future. And I think that's okay, right? I think that's normal. But like another thing that I didn't think about until this week about the coronavirus, the Rona, as people in the know like to say.
Myra Rona.
The Rona is like, my father became extremely ill suddenly this week and ended up in the hospital, and he's still there. And my brother and his wife just had a baby today.
Oh my God, I didn't know that. Wow.
But both hospitals were not allowed to visit, right? So my dad is there, you know, not well at all, by himself. And my brother, like, we can't celebrate the birth of the baby either. So let's say you don't even care about people who have coronavirus. Like if you're that dick and you don't care, think about like there's tons of other people dying by themselves.
Oh my God. And you're so right. That, and also like the nursing homes, think about these women and men whose children can't visit them, who want to, who are in the last days of their lives and can't have their family around them. It's awful. It's awful. And I do think you're right. I think you have to like, I'm the same way though, for a different reason, but as an artist, I'm the same way. It's like, days and nights and weeks and months. I moved to Louisiana by myself and was there for a year and spoke to no one. And when I tell you I was at the edge of the earth, I was in that tail that goes down at the bottom of Louisiana at the end where like Whitey Bulger went to like go on the lam. Like
we thought we were never going to see you again. We're all like, what is where?
Like that bitch went to the bayou.
And let's be honest here, I still don't have exact clarification about what happened, how that started, how it ended. There's a lot of mystery that we will get into at some point about that.
I know, you're right. I will tell you this. I fell madly in love with it. It was trippy, man. And it was beautiful. And it was like, in other words, it was so great that it was enough for me to withstand that much time alone. Do you know what I mean? I feel like in some ways it was my lover, if that makes sense. Like I fell so in love with Louisiana that I got to really get into it because I was like completely alone and it was so nutty. And I wrote like crazy. I wrote this screenplay thing that like first was a movie that I turned into, I think it was 8 or 10 episodes. And it was amazing. And like, I've never done anything like that before in my life, but like now I did it. I'm not there anymore, but I think if I ever lived there again, it would have to be down like on the beach. Like, I don't think I would want to be in the middle of New Orleans as much as I loved it. I was in Jefferson Parish, but I just really I liked music. I liked food. I liked the people. And I know what you're saying, I guess, to bring it back to what we were talking about, which is the fact that you've been, how to quiet your mind, how to be by yourself, how to be with your own thoughts. And like, you've been writing a lot too.
Yes.
So tell me about that.
What's interesting though, is I started writing a couple of years, well, I've always written, but I didn't know, written.
I never wrote. I had a girl tell me once that she wrote songs. She says, I got 4 wrote. I got 4 wrote? I got 4 wrote. She says,
yeah. I got a few things wrote myself.
You do?
But I, unlike you, during this time period I only wrote 1 essay that I sold, but other than that, my creativity is
I think it's true for a lot of people. I'm not writing songs. I can't do it. I'm doing other things. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. This time feels a little different, maybe because everybody else is isolated too. I don't know. We're like, with my cancer, I kind of saw like an end point. Well, either way, right? I was like, okay, I'm going to die. Or I'm going to get better. One of those things is going to happen at some point, right?
Right.
Like, I don't want to be like a buzzkill or anything, but like, especially when you have states like Florida, Georgia, Michigan, and all these people going outside and airplanes that are full of people not wearing masks, you're just going to see an uptick in the cases again. And we're going to put ourselves back by months.
Because it really doesn't mean that these other states have hit their apex. We don't know that they have. Some of them may go through the roof, and what are the implications for that? I mean, the only thing I'll say is, I'll say 2 things. One, I'm wearing camouflage pants with a dashiki, and I'm just feeling like,
I was just going to say that.
I'm just feeling pretty good about myself. I just wanted to mention it.
I was going to say that at the same exact time, but I didn't want to like say that.
I feel like it's brave. I feel like it's, thank you. That's the first thing I'll say. Second thing I was going to say is, this thing has to give financially though. Cause financially, I still haven't gotten a penny of unemployment, even though I went and did the whole 1099 worker application. I still haven't gotten my stimulus.
I got my stimulus.
Yeah, people are getting it, and that's good. I'm super psyched they're getting it. I'm not getting it. And I have not made money since March 8th.
March 8th, what?
Was the last time I made money, other than the beautiful donations I received from everybody for those shows. But like, obviously, as beautiful and amazing as it was, it's never going to cover, it's like what people can do and it's from their hearts, but it's not covering the bills. And I feel like my landlord, like people are not letting anybody off the hook unless like the law tells them they have to,
That's interesting because like, I feel again, like in New York City, almost like when 9/11 happened or Hurricane Sandy, like I was there for both as well.
Yeah.
I think it's almost like New York City has a different, because you're there when it happens and everything is like so different. I was going to say like in New York, people are being much nicer and landlords are supposedly are understanding. And I think outside of the city, maybe it's not as much. I don't know.
No. And you're even hearing de Blasio. He's already talking about the fact that he's going to give everybody rent relief. Yeah. That like, they're not even going to have to do it. Cuomo's not even, going there yet, although I love him and can't even with him. But
I am sorry. I stated first.
No.
We said no.
Oh no. This is a love from way back. You cannot. This is a love from way. I literally have written things like in this screenplay I was just telling you about. There's a scene.
No.
There's a scene with my main character where she talks about moving back to Jersey and marrying a Como, and her nephew says, "Which one?" She goes, "Either."
I'm sorry. I don't like. I'm not gonna lie. I fantasize about Andrew Cuomo, and I have asked him to take me on a date on Twitter.
He's single.
Responded, yeah.
He's single, honey.
Wait, can I just talk about Sarah Lee for a second?
Yeah, I mean, yes. Obviously.
I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but I just don't see them together.
Okay, I didn't get that. I did not get that at all. But I will tell you the one thing that occurred to me about it.
She bakes.
No, yeah. Yes. Way to an Italian man's heart is through his stomach. Period. And she's a nice looking woman.
Okay.
Right? But I mean, she's not like, but she's a nice looking woman. And she's not, come on, she looks good. Don't give her shit. She looks good. She's not gorgeous. I mean, she's not like.
No, she's fine. I just saw her, I saw a picture of her without any makeup on.
No, that was terrifying. I saw that. That was terrifying.
Why did she post that? And she's like, stop body shaming Andrew. I'm like, honey, no one is body shaming Andrew.
I was like, you need a ring light. I'm going to send you a link. No, I know. I agree. Trust me. That was weird because she always looked so great. And it was such a contrast. I was like, whoa, you're always wearing foundation, I guess. Yeah.
And I was just, I'm sorry. God bless her. I mean, I look like shit too.
Now we're spilling the tea. Let me drink to you. Cheers. Oh, yeah. It's happy hour. Love you. I'm drinking white wine. Are you?
I am. And I haven't unpacked my stuff really. So this is not the proper glass, but I'm glad to see that you're drinking.
Me either. I would have a jelly glass if there were any of those that were clean.
I guess my thing about the Rona is trying to make light of it, even though it's so deadly and horrible. And I'll be serious about it. And I am serious about it. But I also try and just think of the fun things about it. The fun things about it, and people are gonna hate me right now. I've already gotten hate messages on my Facebook, liking Andrew Cuomo. Oh, this guy did this. I'm you know what? I'm sorry.
No, Mark put on his Facebook. This shit doesn't happen on other things. But on Facebook, he put on. Andrew Cuomo is a great leader. It makes me feel safe. Something is so benign, it couldn't have been any more benign. Somebody writes, and it's somebody he knows, writes, Governor Cuomo's a fucking dictator. And just this crazy response to something that was so benign. And then of course, some of Mark's friends chime in, I'm sorry. And these are guys who come from other countries, other,
right.
places where governments maybe aren't always as diplomatic as ours. Do you know what I'm saying? Or, or are surrounded by countries like that or whatever those things are. And it's this kid just so they challenged him. They asked him, well, why is he a dictator? And he goes, he closed down our gun shops. And I was like, listen, if you feel when the whole country's on lockdown and nobody's making a dime, keeping the gun stores open is a good idea, then I can't help you, man. I can't help you. There's nothing I can say to help you.
You can't. And I was thinking about the people and this is going to say, again, this is horrible. I mean, this is horrible to say, I guess. But all these people that are protesting, I'm have at it. Go to the beaches, mingle together.
That's what I said.
Have sex, go to the parties and die. Get sick and sign a waiver that we are not going to be held responsible. I'm not going to have to be your nurse.
That's the thing. And this is what I was going to say too, is that I have come across a few situations, I'll put it this way, where I didn't necessarily think somebody was handling it right. You know what I mean? Maybe I was in a grocery store and somebody was literally the only one not wearing a mask, or somebody was going somewhere or was with someone or was whatever. And I've noticed it's a lot of younger people, which is fine. But I think you're right. I think that there is a arrogance about being willing to get everybody else sick, and an arrogance about And we've created this monster, people who only care about themselves and only care about money and only care about, although I don't disagree with the fact, and I will tell you, and I'll be honest with you, I don't disagree with the fact that our freedoms are being taken, and this frightens me. Now, for me, these are separate issues, as weird as that sounds. I don't know about COVID. I'm not qualified on any level. The only thing I'm qualified to do is to ask somebody who's qualified. What do you think? You know what I mean? So for me, I don't know. All I know is that this thing is happening. There's no question that it's happening. And then on the other side of it, we're losing even more freedoms. And there are times that I feel like it's going a little too far. And how far is too far? And how long do we let it go? And do we feel looked after by our government during this time? Do we feel like they've you know what I mean? Of course not. Like, I fucking don't. And
Well,
so,
yeah.
right? So it's like, that's the stuff. It's like, that's the stuff that if I do get into a conversation, it's more about that. Like, so yeah. So like, what is the government up to? Like, why can't everybody just make sure they have money right now if you're going to ask us all to stay home? Like, this is terrible. The state of New York, I will tell you, I really love Governor Cuomo. I love the job he's doing. But the fact that there are so many people in his state that have not received benefits and have not gotten their stimulus check, and there really is no direct answer for them other than someone will call you, I think is really unacceptable.
Yeah, I mean, I have to look at it from that angle because luckily I'm a nurse, so I have stability career.
You're like only ever working now. Now your phone rings off the hook. They're like, we need a stitch. Can you come? We need a stitch. Can you come down?
Yeah,
I have a hematoma here. Well, just come look at it. I'll pay you $5,000.
Like the Dr. Pepper plant. Who knew that existed, right? They need workers too.
Yeah, and the money was really good, right?
It was good. For those of you, I worked at the Dr. Pepper plant in New Jersey for a day, and it was the most. They were making Yoo-hoo that day, which was interesting. But I didn't know anyone drank that anymore, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I don't. But I also think that Trump is screwing Cuomo, like regarding, like I mean, I know he's helping him.
No question.
But I think that he's worried about him as like a, he's going to somehow overtake him, or what I mean?
Well, he's already, in my humble opinion, and if you want to write me, don't. Like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear any. I don't.
Oh yeah, I didn't even realize people might write me. That's exciting.
They could do. I mean, and listen, you can. I just don't expect, if you will be intelligent with me, I'll be intelligent back. But if you're going to be like ridiculous and attack me, just know that like, I'll not only not answer you, I'll just delete you. Because I just do not play it. Like, I cannot. I've been dealing with that shit since Antigone Rising days. So everybody could just forget it. Yeah. So what I was going to say is, I think that he's risen in a way that makes Trump really uncomfortable. It doesn't, listen, I'm not even trying to say that Trump hasn't done anything or hasn't helped him or whatever. What I'm saying is that I think Cuomo's ability to communicate and his inherent sort of like charisma, this thing that he's got, this like Italian boy from Queens thing that he does, that is,
I mean, like I get like all warm inside.
So spot on. It's just so spot. Like he so does it exactly the way that you want it. It's just so. I just think he's charming as fuck. So, and when you are Italian and you do know what he's even talking about too, like there's you want to. So anyway, you want to die, but like
have you seen him kiss his? He has a dog that he posts.
And the daughters, the way he talks about his girls, and we are gushing, and there's no question. But what I love about him is how articulate and educated he is, and unflappable he is, and how
and realistic,
sort of handily and capably he just sort of puts something into perspective, and like can completely, like what he's saying about Mitch McConnell right now is just like, it's like brilliant, because Mitch McConnell basically told him to file for bankruptcy. Right. So Cuomo's like, pass a law so that we can do that. He's like, meantime, New York has put in more money than anybody into the till, essentially. And Kentucky's taken the third highest, which is Mitch McConnell's state, has taken from it at the third highest rate in the country. And we've given into it more than anybody. And all we're asking is for money back. a little bit to help the state. And like Mitch McConnell saying, file for bankruptcy. So seriously, Cuomo can't. Like he gets like on a thing, you can hear the motor go, and then he's like, ah! And he's like,
so intelligent the way he does it. Like me, I'm just like, shut the F up, you know, like very and calming. But like you said, I agree. Like, do you feel safe? Like, are your leaders, are our leaders taking care of us? I just found out today, I didn't know about this, that Trump said that we should inject ourselves with disinfectant.
Yeah.
But like, is he on mushrooms?
No, but but this is what he said. Here's what he said. He's half watching. I mean, and probably half understanding a lot of these I think that's part of it. I think he's half understanding most things, but he's watching these sort of conspiracy sites, some of which at times have valid information, sometimes are crackpot, AF. So, it's dubious, like what you're watching on there. You're not really sure all the time. And I think he's getting this sort of feedback that there are these kind of chlorine-based treatments that Swedes are sort of working on, and that this chloroquine is sort of based on. And when you hear them talk about it, they discuss how it's cleaning sort of the fungus out of your body, right? In the way that a chlorine would, but it's not chlorine. So he's like making this connection for him that you're going to go under your cabinet.
I mean, how easy would that be? That would be great.
Imagine if I could go drink my Clorox and then it's over.
Did you see Lysol had to put out an ad? Do not ingest our product.
Listen, I feel like this whole thing is a population control program. I
do too. And I'm sorry, people of Michigan and other places. If you want to go outside, you should.
I'll tell you who survives. New Yorkers, because all you have to do is threaten a New Yorker. They're not going to be able to live anymore. They're like, I'm out. Like, I loved this city. I will help in any way I can. But what did you say I had to do in order to live? Like, that's New Yorkers, man. New Yorkers are like the most invincible, like narcissistic, like can't imagine themselves not on. What would the planet do if I wasn't here? Even our governor's like that. I mean, let's be honest. So it's like, but yeah, it makes me laugh. You're right. New Yorkers will do what's told. And at the end of it, there will only be New Yorkers left, because we'll be like, no, we stayed and we hated every minute of it. We bitched about it the whole time. But we did what we were told, because we also respect our governor. There's something to be said for that too. Like, I think, I'm not saying everybody loves the governor, but I think overall, both him and,
I'm not a fan of de Blasio's as much.
See, I don't love him, but I do think people.
I think he's gotten better since this.
Yeah.
Because he's taken lead, I think, from Cuomo, like stared at him, watched him.
Yeah. Like what you're doing, staring at him.
Yeah, fantasizing about him. I think de Blasio. You cut it.
I call him Big Daddy in here, and even Mark's like, "Is your dad?" I'm like, Daddy, but yeah, okay.
Homosexuals, like it's guys.
That's right. I had somebody say that. That's hilarious. Well, yeah, he's hot. So I was going to say to you though.
Yes.
No, that's okay. We all do it. Please, it's fun. You tell me about your writing. I want to know about it.
So it's interesting how it started actually. Like I said, I've always written, but I never, just like my own self, like almost like a diary, but not a diary. You know what I mean? Like just little stories and stuff. And how I really got started to get published is I went on a Tinder date, and I'll name him here because he's so proud of this. So I go on this Tinder date, right? And it's with Benji Bronk from the Howard Stern Show.
Oh my God.
And it's hysterical. Our whole date was actually hysterical. He comes in late and he's like, I just broke up with my girlfriend. I found out she's going to LA. I'm like, wait, I'm sorry. We met on Tinder like 5 days ago. Like, what? But anyway, he's talking about his girlfriend the whole time, which is fine. She's hot and she's in LA, whatever. But
see, this is where you and I are different. No.
Well, yeah, but I realized, okay, we'll be friends or whatever. I was like,
You're like, I have something I want to write for you. I have something I want you to read.
I don't know how it got started. Actually, I don't remember, but I remember we were in Soho at an Italian restaurant, and maybe he said something like, well, do you do anything creative? And I was like, I write. And he was like, oh, tell me about it. And then I did. I'm like, no. Like, I'm not really a writer. He's like, you should take this woman's class, Susan Shapiro. Sue Shapiro is amazing. And she's an editor. She's a professor at the New School. She's a professor at NYU and now Columbia as well in the writing program. And she has like a 5-week course in her apartment. And he's like, you should go. I'm like, oh, no. Like, no. So he even followed up with me after our date. He's like, you need to go to this class.
Oh my God.
I love the class. And it was like all people, like there was like comedians there and people like, oh, I just got published in, New York Times. And oh God, like I was like pit sweating. I was like, I don't belong here. So like 3 weeks go by and Benji calls. He's like, did you read out loud in the class? I'm like, oh no, I would never read out loud. I'm not going to read out loud. And everyone edits your piece. And Sue is a shark. If Sue watches this, she knows she's a shark. She's like, that sucks. Cut this out. What do you
I love
it. Title.
You need the truth. Come on, man.
Yeah. So I decided, okay, I'm going to read and it is what it is. So I read my piece and at the end, everybody clapped. And I was like, oh my God. And that the first piece I ever wrote for her got published. And then every piece I've written after that has gotten published. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that was easy. And like, I really do owe it to, let's say, really Tinder, honestly, at the end of the day.
Wow.
And Benji,
And see, this is something I thought had no real meaning. So now I know it doesn't, and I'll always keep it in mind. So I'm curious, what do you write about? What's your subject matter?
I write about and when I say it sounds so egotistical, and maybe, I guess it is, but you write about what you know, right? So I write about my experiences having cancer and mostly dating, like relationships. So even when I had a feeding tube and I weighed, 90 pounds, I was still on Tinder. I was like, and I would just warn people. I'm like, oh, I'm super skinny because I work out all the time.
You're like, oh, and this thing, don't just ignore it.
I don't really like to eat, whatever. And so my first piece was about how I met a dermatologist out. And my mom told me not to go because my mom was actually living with me in the city because I was so sick. And I just unplugged my tube, I was like, I'm going, put on like this awesome dress. I walked to the hotel that we were like meeting for, drinks, I thought. And when I get there, he's kind of like this like rotund guy. And he's ordered all these appetizers to eat. And I was like, I'll just have a glass of Pinot Noir. And I think I weighed probably 90 pounds and I'm 5'7". So I'm tiny. I was very tiny. And he's like, we need to put some meat on those bones. And he hits me in the arm right where my catheter was. I was like, oh, and then he did it again. And then the third time. And I was like, ow, I'm like, I hurt myself working out. But anyway, it was interesting that for me, it was like another Tinder date. And I realized that it didn't matter what I looked like on the outside. I was still myself on the inside at the end of the day. And he knew that something was wrong, whether he thought I was anorexic or whatever it was. And he walked me home. He like hugged me and said, take care of yourself, and like gave me a kiss on the cheek. And I walked into my apartment like crying, but also happy because I hadn't spent time even talking to a man in months and months and months and months and months, or like feeling semi-attractive or whatever. So I write mostly about that. My husband also left me when I was sick. He's a doctor. But I will say nowadays, I give him more props than I used to because we were newly married. And we didn't know each other for that long before we got married. And it had to have been hard to, have your wife get a stage 4 cancer and be totally mutilated, honestly, bald, and like people like, oh, he's a dick. That's what I used to say too. But you know what? He did the best that he could.
Liz,
he did the best.
I'm fucking proud of you. That's beautiful, man. You haven't always been in that place.
No.
Yeah. I'm hearing that. I'm actually hearing that for the first time. And I'm so happy for you, man. Not surprised that you're able to get there. I know you're able to get there, but that was a tough one. And I don't blame you. And it was a tough one for all of us. We were all just like, what the fuck did you just say he did? Like he did what?
And it was like bad the way he did it. Like I came home from work and he just didn't have even though he's I don't want to say what he does for a living, but
right.
He's a doctor of someone that should know better.
Right.
He just disappeared, like just said, I don't want to be married and walked out and all his stuff was gone from the apartment. And then he married like this really hot blonde girl. Which fine. Good for them.
You know what?
Good for them.
Good for them.
Good for them. Honestly, I do mean that. I mean, good for them. I really
No,
do.
of course, you're kidding. The thing is, listen, we were mad about it, but I think like the overall, like the overarching message maybe to something like that, right, is to say, because I know you are, well, we're both Capricorns. We're the same age. We've lived a little, but we've also been kind of single more than we've not been, although we have had long-term relationships and very serious commitments. Like, we're independent women. Like, we have a very similar way of kind of seeing. Yeah. And as well as I do, that people are limited in their ability to do the right thing. Like,
yeah.
And you know what? So am I, and so are you, and so are we all. But I think when you have been on your own for a long time, you've been through something really difficult, when you've had to persevere, when you've had to begin again and reinvent, when you've had to be freaking scared, more scared than anybody could ever understand. Like, this creates a certain kind of character, and a knowingness. And I find, and I'm sure you do too, people aren't going to always get you. Like, they're not always going to get, and I get that shit all the time too. Like, I've literally been with Liz where, like, she's been just having a good time, and like a guy will look at her and be like, "Why don't you go fuck yourself?" And she's like,
oh my God.
And she's like, "What'd I do?" And he's like,
it's just your whole presence. Your whole presence.
Was, yeah. Like, I just did, like, your face. Like, it was just so crazy. And we were like, what the, but he was like, in other words, people get offended by us because we're so kind of cut and dried about everything, because it's just been too hard, man, to be full of shit.
As well.
Say that again.
I was just in a relationship with someone that I've known for years.
Tell me about this one too, because I don't know about this one really. And I saw it on Instagram pictures.
Yes. He probably won't watch this because he's like, wants to like cut me out, and that's fine. And if he does, I'm not saying anything bad about him either, right? Like, I'm just stating my perspective. We've known each other for 25 years in the music industry. He was on a band that was signed to my label, or the label I work for. And we kind of reconnected on Instagram. And I've always thought he was hot. And we always had a good time when we were younger. So we kind of started this like long distance relationship on the phone. And then we got together, and like, I was like, this is great, So anyway, like 8 months go by, and like, you could tell, when a guy's like pulling away.
Oh yeah.
Like, they stop like calling you as much.
Ugh.
So my immediate thing is like, what did I do wrong? How do I fix it? Let me like, try and get it back. And that just makes someone run away more, which I get. Someone's annoying and clingy, like, run away. But the thing is like, okay, I'm sorry.
You being annoying.
Me? I know. How is that possible?
No, you weren't. You're not annoying.
No. Well, I don't know. Maybe a little bit, but
okay.
Here's my thing that I was going to talk about, like being a Jersey girl, a New York girl, and a Capricorn. That's what it comes back down to.
Totally.
And the way I was raised. In my family, you could be at the dinner table if you were lucky to eat dinner with your family.
Right.
Which is very rare. And like, someone loses their effing mind at the table over, who knows, maybe the salt ran out, and the person's losing their mind over it, calling you every name in the book because you didn't get the salt right or whatever. But then you move on. It's done. Oh my God. Someone yells at you, calls you an a-hole. Why did you do this? At the top of the lungs, the dog's barking, the phone's ringing, and then it's fine. So apparently I yelled at him 7 months ago.
Right.
And he was harboring that, for all this time, and not saying anything, how much it bothered him.
Okay. Is he fucking 12? Like, seriously?
Yeah. So that's the thing. And like, I don't want to say anything bad because I'm not perfect either, but what you and I do is we talk about it.
Yeah, immediately.
And I'm open about my flaws.
And I make it so and I know, because I can see it come over people's faces. Yeah. They're uncomfortable with my level of like, I'm just going to get right to the point. Like, let's go there. I'm going to talk about how I suck, and I'm going to be brutally honest about myself, and I'm going to want you to do the same thing. And if you need a little help, I'll tell you what the fuck you are. And then we can like fight about it or whatever it is. But like, people don't want to do it, man.
They cannot do it.
They can't do it. I'm open to it. I'm open to you coming and being like, I disagree with that, man. Like, I don't like it. I mean, look, I have people in my life who do it. Thank God. I have people who laugh at me, who think I'm stupid sometimes and just like laugh at how ridiculous I'm being. Do you know what I mean? I have people who know me so well who don't even get mad because they know like that's just her. Yeah. But when you're like dealing with somebody who's not just going to come with it, who's not just going to say, listen, here's what's happening with me. And I didn't appreciate that. And this, to me, there's nothing sexier than a man who can identify his feelings and just come, even if they're like, inarticulate or not like, here's the problem. You're intimidating. I'm intimidating, but it's a shame, So you said something that offended him or something he didn't understand where it was coming from. And then he didn't know how to just say that. So he started to slowly like ghost you.
He started to like pull away and like not be as attentive. And we were supposed to spend Christmas together, but we didn't. But then I went up there for New Year's. And then my mind starts going, oh, he must be having an affair. So then I started like, overly like checking his social media, which by the way, I can't stand at this day and age. And I'm like, who's this girl? What are you doing? Why'd you post a picture of boobs? What's happening? What do you mean? Well, that wasn't supposed to be up there. What do you mean it wasn't supposed to be up there? Who are you chatting with? What's happening? And just blatantly lying. I can't do it blatantly lying. Like if you say, you know what, Liz, I didn't like the way you treated me. You emasculated me. And I went outside our relationship to have a woman make me feel better about myself. I'm like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, no, that's the thing that they don't understand is that you will say, okay.
I will say, okay.
Yeah, no, listen, Mark and I, it's so funny because he's so sweet and so kind, but he's very strong. He's Armenian. He's a very powerful person and a personality. And believe it or not, and I think people would be surprised to hear this, I can be very passive in a relationship. I can be very sort of traditional even, dare I say. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm cooking meals and like if whatever he wants is probably what we're going to do. And like whatever, unless it's like completely ridiculous or putting us at risk, but I'm not going to be in a relationship with someone like that. So like, no, right. Like, so, but what I was going to say is that like, I need somebody who isn't afraid to just be like, well, I don't appreciate that. Like, that's not, or to say.
The moment that it happens in real time. You can't harbor something that I said 7 months ago and hold it against me. And then I'm trying to guess what the hell is wrong with you.
So did you feel like whatever it was that you said, were you intending to hurt his? I'm just curious. Like we're getting into like therapy, but were you like trying to be like?
No, he came down to my apartment sick. And as you know, I have a weak immune system. And I told him, don't come if you're sick because I'm afraid. And like, there's always like working in psychiatry, right? There's always a reason behind it. It's not that I just don't want to get sick. Right? If I get sick, I can't go to work. If I don't go to work, I can't pay my bills. If I can't pay my bills, then I get more stressed out. I get more stressed out.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
And he came down and I honestly don't remember what I said or what I screamed at him, but I screamed at him. It's so wrong.
You can't scream, Liz. It's where they draw the line. I'm just like, as a rule, it's where they draw the line when they're not your husbands. You can scream at your husband, but even only not that much.
I'm sorry, but you did. Didn't you? I grew up in a very loud household.
Oh my God, Liz.
Let's talk about our friend Jill Redfern. Do you know Jill Redfern, her mom?
That
used to put swear words together that didn't make sense when you're like in fifth grade. She's like, I'm not going to say them here. They're horrible. And like, but you just went about your business. It wasn't
what I mean. I was going to say Jill Redfern. Hi, Jill. I know you're probably watching. She came from a great family. Let's be honest. She came from what we all wished we came. Right. I'm sure it wasn't perfect. I'm not even trying to say that it was, but she loves to this day. Her mother is like one of her favorite people in life.
Mom and her dad.
Totally. So what I'm trying to say is that like, that wasn't my story. That wasn't my story.
But you know what I'm saying? Like our Jersey girls were loud. Number one.
Right. What I'm saying is we're loud, but we also, you and I came from, I'm putting this on, you and I came from places where if you weren't tough, you weren't going to survive. Like we had to fight for our lives all the fucking time in our houses, you know? And
people don't understand that. And maybe
No.
I shouldn't expect them to understand.
No, they shouldn't. Because here's the thing. It really is our responsibility to, on the best, you know, to the best of our ability. And some of us never get there, but you know, it is our responsibility to figure out what those things are, right? So when you're telling me about this, and I'm not even trying to say I'm there yet, girl. I'm just saying like, these are like the thoughts that I have about all of it because you and I are so the same. But it's almost like getting the awareness and my awareness becoming stronger, right? So that I know now when I probably said something that hurt his feelings. And I will now go and be like, hey, listen, I just want to make sure that you know that like when I said that thing, I meant this and not that.
Right.
Like I'm getting better at realizing when maybe I did have a little bit of vinegar in something I just said, and that people are more sensitive than us because I'll tell you why. Most people didn't grow up on a war field. Most people didn't grow up like in a battleground.
And his parents worship him.
Right. That's what I come from.
Go wrong in their
That's what I have in my relationship too. And I worship Mark. That's I do. And I'll tell you why. He's so good. And it's like, I know I talk about him a lot in these podcasts, but it's the truth. Like
I feel like I know him, but I haven't even met him yet.
And everybody feels that way because he's so familiar because he's so warm and he's so open and you don't feel like you're being kept out. There's no walls.
Right.
It's what I fell in love with. My friend Shayna was there when I met him and it was what I said to her too. I'm like, I love how like available he is.
Right.
You know, I love that. And I feel like if my meanness would ruin that about him, because I can be fucking mean, let's be honest. And you can too. We can be mean. If my meanness closes that off in him, I would kill myself.
I know. And
I would hate myself for that.
And that's the thing. I hated myself for a little bit.
No, but I'm not saying beat yourself up. I'm just saying like, I try to watch it.
No, totally. And
I
know it doesn't sound like it, but I did too. Like I really, you probably would say you didn't watch it, but for me, I was watching.
Right. You're practicing.
I was practicing. And like, if you're going to hold that against, if you can't love me at my worst, then you don't deserve me at my best.
Totally. And I will tell you what else. The fact that you're practicing, because I was too, my last boyfriend that I really thought I was going to end up with, Joe from Los Angeles. Remember Joe? Do you remember Joe?
I mean, not the hot motorcycle guy that we met. But
the guy that, oh, that guy. Oh no, I know who you mean. That guy. Ooh, but he was
going to eat that sandwich on that motorcycle.
Yeah, but you know what? I told you what happened. I saw him walking down the sidewalk with these two little Chi-Chi dogs. His girlfriend's little dogs. He was back with the girl and he was walking her dogs. And I thought you're not as cute as you were on the motorcycle, but so not him. But anyway, it doesn't even matter. Joe doesn't even deserve airtime. I went out with a guy who owned a restaurant in LA and we were together for
yeah.
I loved him. He was great. I actually thought that was going to be the thing. And it had been years. I was with somebody for 8 years and then I was single for 3 like solid years. And I met Joe and I thought that was going to be it. But I will tell you, and this is more of a word of encouragement, I think I was practicing too. And I think there were times I lost my temper with him that was old me, like that was still only like aftershocks, like nothing. I thought I did very well, much like I thought you think you probably did too. And I probably did. What I'm saying is it was the next one that I was ready and he was right. And I was like, I get this now. I have to catch myself more often and I have to see where those moments are and I have to learn from my mistakes and I have to, if I want to do this, like, listen, I even got to a place where I wasn't sure if I wanted to. And
that's the thing. I don't know if I want to either. Like, I don't want to my ass every day. Honestly, like I really don't. And this was a kind of long distance. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. You know, I'll see him when I see him kind of thing. But
right.
But then there's, I agree with what you're saying. Like, okay, we practice this, but there's a guy, and I don't know if I should mention him because then that would, if anyone else here.
I feel like you've got to mention it.
I kind of think you know who he is because I've sent you a text kind of like since the other one and I broke up.
Yeah.
He tells me that he gets me. He's like, you don't scare me, but he doesn't want a girlfriend.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So this is this guy you've been sleeping with and enjoying company. Okay, we'll try this again. This guy you've been spending time with and like have known and have texted and like gone to beautiful dinners with, I know you've told me, and a person who you're physically attracted to, but it's always been just short of wanting, but it's also, and not to divulge because we haven't said his name, so I don't feel bad saying this, he has a little bit of boo-boo left over.
A lot of baggage happening, and yes.
And so he's kind of doing this thing where he's protecting himself by playing the field. He's probably also enjoying it. I'm not trying to like turn this guy into a saint. He's not a saint by any stretch, but
he's always been honest.
He's hurt.
He's been honest.
He's got responsibilities that are very important to him that he's got to focus on. He's single, but he is living a time in his life where he's not interested in being serious with somebody. He doesn't have the bandwidth to get hurt or to invest or to do, but he's always tells the truth about it. And anytime you spend with him, he treats you well.
Like we'll be at a restaurant and he's a very good looking guy,
Yeah.
And I see women look at him, and he is, I have to say, out of all the guys I've ever dated or whatever, he's always looked at me. Like in New York, all these women like models and stuff walking by. No, direct eye contact, and that's what
and that's special. I know what you mean. I have that too. I'm with somebody who, he's a dude, but like really is only his eye. He always tells, like, it's constant.
He only has eyes for you. And especially when you're like, listen, when you're with the guys, of course you're going to, look at other.
Yeah. Or even just the fact that like, men are, the kind of men that you and I tend to be attracted to are lovers of. They're sensual. They're sensuous. They love beauty. They love art. They love food. They love sex. They love whatever those things are. But they're passionate. So to think that a gorgeous woman may not make them just quickly just go whatever. I'm not saying be obnoxious about it, and I'm not even saying do it all the time. But I'm saying I think you're kidding yourself if you think he's not going to appreciate. But I'm always, but you always feel special, and I always feel like I'm always
special.
Say again.
That's what I was trying to say. He always makes me feel special.
Yeah.
Even though I know he goes out with other girls, he tells me he does. He always makes me feel special and number one when I'm with him.
And I think that this is a good advice to guys who are maybe single.
Yeah.
And dating and like maybe don't want a girlfriend, but are trying to figure out like how to kind of have a good time and play the field a little bit without like being kind of labeled as an asshole. Like maybe you're not that guy, but you also don't know how to do things. I think it's good advice to just sort of say, you'd be surprised how much further you'll get with a girl if you are humble and you tell the truth. You know what I mean? If you just say, listen, I like you. I want to see you. I want to spend time with you. I am not looking for a relationship. And here's the thing, and this is where guys get in trouble, is that for them, it's like, yeah, but then she won't want to see me. It's like, well, you might lose some.
Right.
But you might keep some, and those will be the ones you're going to have a good time with anyway because they know the score. To deceive a girl is going to make drama in your life that you don't need and don't want. Find, you might have to kiss a few frogs. It's like join the club. Women have been doing it forever. You might have to like find your girl. I did it once. I was in a relationship with somebody once who we can't talk about who, we can't even like allude to who, but was in a relationship that he was never faithful to. They were not married. It was a girlfriend. She was much younger than him. And I always got the impression that for whatever reason, she just wasn't getting the hint. And I think he liked the comfort of it. And I'm not even trying to justify it or justify myself. I'm just saying it wasn't the kind of, they weren't on equal footing. This was not somebody who was like raising his children or like keeping a home. They didn't even live together. Do you know what I mean? But he had in name, he had a girlfriend and he was always like hooking up with other people. And it was very strange. And she was never around. And I never even met her. I think maybe I met her one time in like years. And so we had like a little bit of a fling for a while. And like, I loved the fact that it was honest. I loved the fact that we both knew where it was coming from. I loved the fact that we had a relationship that was mutually beneficial, but I never felt like I was being used.
Yeah, that's the difference. You don't feel like you're being used when you're with another guy, and women can do it too.
Of course, yeah.
When someone tells the truth, listen, guys, when you tell the truth, you're just elevated up here.
Yeah.
We look up to you even more. We're like, wow, this is a real man. Look at us. Cassidy and I are talking right now about how amazing men like that are. I mean,
I know.
it's so rare. I don't know why. Why can't they just say it?
I think that there's a few reasons. One, they don't want to disappoint you. They don't want to upset you. They don't want to make you not like them. But more than anything, I find most guys, even if they're assholes, they genuinely don't want to see the change in your eyes when you're looking at them now, like, you're not what I thought you were. They hate that so much. I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying I think that's part of it. And I think it scares them enough to not do it. And I also think they think you're going to freak out, that you're going to be crazy. Like, unfortunately, men still have very stereotypical ideations and impressions of women. And I think it changes a little bit, but like, so Mark's younger than me. His generation of guys, I find, as a rule, tend to be more equal-minded and equal-footed with the women in their lives. They don't see you so much, as a rule, as inferior. Where they, I think, and I'm not talking about Mark, I'm just talking about this generation of guys, let's say around like 30-something, early 30s, late 20s, early 30s to like 35. I think they lack a little bit of chivalry. They lack a little bit of that like old-fashioned thing that actually
more for you.
Yeah, and offering to pay for the first 2 dates or something. Like, I may offer 2, but like just being a gentleman, dressing a certain way. You know, I'm not even saying you have to spend a lot of money, but like asking me out properly, like, and coming to get me maybe if you can, or like just being that little bit of like chivalrous, I think is missing. And I think it's a shame. I think that whether women have made that hard on them, or they've been told not to do it, or they would rather, not pay. I don't know.
Can I say something I was just thinking about?
Yeah.
Regarding like quarantine time?
Yeah.
I don't know about anybody else out there, but exes are coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm sure they are.
And I have to say, he might actually watch this one I'm about to tell you about. And if you're watching this, you know exactly who you are. You know, I love you. And I always have. And anyway, this man who I dated years ago, he's not American. He doesn't live in this country.
Okay.
God, I've loved him for so long. And so we kind of ended on a bad situation. I won't go into his private details, but
of course,
not great happened. And we just hadn't talked in years, 14 years actually. And I was on a Zoom with some writer friends last weekend, and I get this like pop-up text, and it says, I'm making up the name right now, like Joe Smith commented on your post. I was like, am I drunk right now? Like, what? Who? And I'm not even friends with him on Facebook.
Who now?
And so, what? And then he friended me, and I was like, maybe it's not him. I'm like, when you're so confused.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, I accepted his friendship, and we started chatting on Facebook. And at first I really thought it wasn't him. I was like, is this you? He's like, what do you mean? Is it me? Of course it's me. And, just like you with one person, he is married,
Okay.
But it felt so good to hear from him anyway.
Yeah.
And like, God, I wish that one was different.
It's a weird thing, right? So it's like, do we always love them more because they're not available? Do we meet them at a time in our life when we actually don't want them to be available? I don't think, and I know you too, like you couldn't carry on something long-term with somebody who was married. You know what I mean? That, and me too, somebody who had a girlfriend, like even if it wasn't serious, even if you knew they weren't in love, it doesn't matter. I do that to the other woman. No, but I have an itch on my nose, but one of the things that I've noticed is that like girls our age, do that because it's just sort of like, who cares? He's got his thing. I've got mine. It's all good. This is just a nice relationship. He takes me, it's somebody maybe with a little bit of money and you have fun, you go on vacations or whatever. And it's funny because I do think like as you get older and if you're still looking good and you have your own career and you have your own life, I kind of have my pick in terms of what kind of guy I want to date. I'm not saying it's easy to find somebody wonderful that you want to marry. Clearly it's not. But what I'm saying is I could date somebody older, but I'm also still able to date somebody younger, and I can be with a musician or I can be with a corporate guy or whatever. And in a way, it's kind of like playboyish of me, like to sort of be like, well, what gives you the right to have your pick? You know what I'm saying? But I fucking do. and you do too. And you do too is what I'm trying to say. Like you kind of go across the board. You know who else? Cindy. I won't say her last name, but our girlfriend Cindy. She can do whatever she wants to and does. You know, she'll date older, younger. She looks
God bless her. I mean, Cindy.
She's my favorite. She's girl. If you're watching, you know who I'm talking about. We love the shit
and I
out of you.
All of your pictures.
She's just what I love is how fun you are, Cindy, and how we do have to go. I went and saw you. I saw her. She was amazing. But what's the word? She doesn't take herself too seriously. She is gorgeous, but she's having fun, man. Like she's not like Cindy's having a good time and she's enjoying herself. She had a terrible thing happen. Very sad. She lost her husband and she's chosen to.
She owns who she is, right?
Yeah, and she's chosen to kind of like be born again and like live again. And I give her so much credit. But what's great is that she's still so beautiful. She owns it and she's enjoying her life. And it's like amazing. And so what I'm trying to say is she's another good example of somebody. Listen, Mark was even asking me, he's like, of your sort of immediate close little core, who's married, who's not? And I said, it's funny because we're almost on the equal, like at this point, like half of us are, half of us aren't. And we're very close, all of us, you know, and it's not so uncommon anymore for women our age to make a decision to just be on their own now or date or be with whoever they want. Do you know what I mean?
I'm sorry. It just came to my mind. So our friend Patty.
Oh yeah.
So I was on Tinder, like right after me and this other guy broke up like a couple of weeks ago and whatever. I went on Tinder out in New Jersey where I am.
Right.
And of course, like, there's some guys like more towards like the Short Hills area, and that's fine. But I was like, well, maybe there's one here. So there is one here. And of course we match and we have actually like a quarantine date tomorrow.
No.
At the beach. I don't know how that's going to work. Like, I think you have to stand like 6 feet apart. Anyway, but
you definitely are. You should do a video. Have you seen it? Have you done that yet?
No, I know. I was gonna say, do you want to do that too? But long story short, our friend Patty knows everybody in our hometown.
Oh, yeah.
She knows all the gossip. She knows everything. So I said to her last night, hey, Patty, let me ask a question. Do you know Joe Smith? Obviously not his name.
Right.
Stay away. First words. Because one of our other friends has already slept with him. And I'm like, come on, really?
This is what it's going to be like dating over there. I'm telling you right now.
I mean, that's why
I met Mark on the road, honey. I would have never. It was brutal. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, and I mean, I have guys like down in Short Hills or whatever, like
because everybody knows each other, like you said, and a lot of people end up staying, and people are divorced. Like, listen, there are a few people who you always just kind of keep your like the corner of your left eye
open
on their Facebook status, like wondering, are you ever going to be single again? Maybe they won't. And I wish them no ill to their marriage or anything. You do wonder though. There's certain people you just think,
I know.
If he's ever single again, I might show up where he's at. You know what I mean? But there aren't a ton of those, or there's a couple of them I feel like in Sparta, but all the great ones are married.
Yeah, and this one is not married.
Okay.
And it's really a player, but not open about it. So my tactic tomorrow, should I go, I don't know whether I should say, listen, I know about blank and blank. I know that you are a player name, or do I just say, because I don't really want a boyfriend, honestly, right now. I mean, unless it's
my question is if you're willing to cross, what is the
friend, like bro friend or whatever?
What's it called though?
Yeah.
It's called.
So I asked Patty, I said, does this person, was it like a relationship? Would they be like upset about it?
Right.
No.
I feel like sex workers would clean up in that town.
So here's the thing. Do you know that
I'm just saying.
I'm sorry, I don't know how I jumped to something else, but did you know that, like, I mean, you probably do, porn and like camera webcams are they're raking in the money right now.
Of course they are. And you can't even get good cameras right now. All the equipment's like being sold.
I mean,
yes.
Like I could be very specific. I could be like cancer scars, women in their 40s.
Listen, I feel like the Asian porn is very big right now. All you have to do is just paint on a little cat eye, make that thing happen.
Yeah. It's like I'm and like they just cover they camouflage that area anyway.
Yeah, or you could wear one of those bathing suits that goes up, but who gives a shit about that? Anyway, there's special porn for people with scars, people like you could listen.
Yeah.
People are into all kinds of shit, honey, and don't assume that people aren't going to think that little scar is hot.
Yeah, it's fine.
I've been told to do it.
Yeah, I mean,
because me and my fucking banging old lady body, but my body's good. It is, and it's good for my advanced, but I have so many tattoos. You would know it was me. It would be ridiculous.
Well, that's what I said to my mom. I mean, yeah, I actually had this conversation with my mother.
No, I've had this conversation seriously too. Like I've actually entertained this conversation. I'm like, no, I couldn't. Like I actually was like, well, no, I can't because everybody knows I have tattoos. I'm like, why am I even like making that argument? Like as if online porn is going to be what I'm doing next.
I know, and I'm not going to do it, but I just like to think that maybe I would.
Why not? I used to. This is crazy. I can't believe I'm talking about this. Never mind. I'm not going to say it. All right, I'll say it. I used to think that being a stripper might just like be the most like kind of fascinating job ever. Not that like I would ever have the nerve because I can't even do 3 minutes of comedy. But like for me to get up on stage and take my clothes off, there's just no chance. However, I have thought to myself that has got to be fascinating. Like to be the girl who in the room was taking her clothes off, that's got to be the craziest shit.
You want attention? You got it now.
That's what I mean. You know what I'm saying?
That is like, I worked at a bar called Hogs and Heifers, which is no longer there.
Yeah.
It was all guys that mostly guys back in the day. And like, we used to have to like dance on the bar and like, I didn't have any boobs. Any guy that stayed with me knows that, but I have nice legs, right? I was known for my legs. So I had to wear like short shorts and like small cowboy boots with heels so that my legs would show off and like dance on the bar. And I made a lot of money. Like when I went to FIT, I'd make like, I mean, this is a long time ago. And during the day shift, I'd make like $500 a day with clothes on. Right. So, but here's the thing. Those guys were gross. And I had my clothes on.
Cause that's the thing. It's good money, but it's like, is it worth being around these creeps?
I'm sorry. I'm going to say something right now, just to make me, anyone who's watching this knows that I'm not a total dick. My boyfriend that we just broke up.
Yeah.
And I yelled at him, 8 months ago.
Yeah.
On Valentine's Day, I couldn't go to see him because my mom was in the hospital. Went to a strip club instead and didn't tell me until you have to ask this guy specific questions. Did you go to this strip club on this date at this time? Yes. But I'm sorry, what?
No, he sounds like a creep.
It's kind of gross. And
he sounds like a creep.
Yeah,
he sounds like a creep. Listen, I have decided anything that takes that much work, you don't want to, please don't do it. And I'm saying this to everybody who's listening. Anybody that you have to work that hard to feel safe with, you need to not do that shit. And
everybody was going, it was just like a fun thing. We stayed on the men's side. I'm like,
yeah, no.
Really?
I don't know. I have a hard time with it because I do feel like internet porn and all that shit is ruining marriages. Although I don't have any I shouldn't say I don't have any personal experience with it. I do. I was in a relationship with somebody who was addicted to porn.
Oh, I thought you were in a porn.
No, but not yet. Anyway.
Anyone watching want to?
Well, yeah, if I need money, if I don't get this stimulus check, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So, it'll be stand by. So
stand by.
So what I was going to say is I forget, but yeah,
the relationship with someone that was addicted to it.
Oh yeah. So he was addicted to the porn. And I really think that it was a struggle and it was definitely something that was affecting him and I think, I always say this too, not to be generational all the time, but I really do think our generation, the way we learned about sex was by having it. You know,
you don't tell me anything. I mean,
no
like,
one told me anything. Or like finding a little scrambled boob like on Cinemax, or like finding like a page of like ripped out porn like from Playboy magazine in the woods. Did you ever find? You know what I remembered? I found a lot of that shit in the woods when I was a kid. Now I'm realizing I never find porn in the woods anymore. Why is that? It's like, and I feel like that's a travesty. This alone is what's wrong. That I haven't found porn in the woods in probably 10 years.
You know what? Best statement ever made. I agree with you. People aren't outside anymore. They're on their phones. You know what? Go out in the woods, get a bottle of jungle juice, and you should know what that is, but you don't know what you don't do it. You take alcohol from everybody's parents' cabinet, you mix it together wherever you can. That's jungle juice. Put it in a gallon-sized milk container. You go out in the woods with porn. You go out in the woods, maybe smoke a joint. Not that I would. Any nurses or doctors that are watching me have never done anything like that. But you go out in the woods and you drink it and you look at pictures of boobs. You know,
and you do what you got to do in the woods, but then you hear somebody coming and you shove it into the leaves, and then it gets left there for the 6-year-old kid who's walking, you know, to play, and then finds it and is fascinated. And this is what I'm saying. I don't find porn in the woods anymore. I used to find porn in the woods all the time, but then it also led me to the thought, I was like, who's jerking off in the woods and how disgusting? A lot of people. And why were they outside my window? So then I scare myself and I can't sleep. This is what I've been doing.
This is how I spend my window.
This is how I spend my life.
I mean, listen, I wish someone was outside my window right now. Not really. You know what? I take that back.
Take that back. Don't even say that.
Instagram stalker from Mexico randomly. I'm not going to say how it started.
You didn't exactly. You didn't egg him on or anything, did you?
But he was young, like in his 30s or 20s, maybe, I don't know. And he would not let it go. And it became scary, even though I know he's in Mexico. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I do know what you mean, because I've had a few.
Yeah.
I've had so many fucking stalkers. They're the worst. And then it's like, they're the worst, dude. I had some crazy shit happen to me that I will tell you off camera that is like the thing of nightmares. And then it's all that like extreme. And then there's like people who are just weird with you. And then it's just like, stop being weird. Like, stop saying weird shit. Like, and it isn't even so much that you want to like ghost them. Like, you just don't want them to be weird. And then like, you won't be weird, you know?
Something else. So like there's another app called The League, which is supposed to be like, you know, The League is supposed to be like more upscale or whatever. Who cares? Anyway.
Right.
I meet this, it's not, it's like boring people really. This guy, he says, hey, you know, he's like, hey, beautiful, hey, sunshine, like, you know, can I have your number? I'm like, well, my dad's in the hospital, so not right now. So then, like, last night I was kind of bored. I'm like, so I give him my number. Bing, like within, I put the phone down. I was already texting. He's like, hey, beautiful, what are you up to this evening? I'm like, I don't know. I just told you my dad is dying.
Right.
Like, what are you doing? And then this morning, first thing I wake up, I'm like, holy shit, you text me at 6 a.m. Hey, sunshine. No, I don't want.
Let me ask you something. Why did you give him your number?
I don't know. Boredom happens. Why do you think all these guys are like texting me on Facebook and Instagram like, hey, what you up to?
Why do I find this? There was no theory under which somebody would just message me, hey, sunshine, hey, baby. And then the next thing out of my mouth is, and so then I gave him my number.
Okay, that's true.
But what are you talking about?
I don't know. You know, listen,
and then you just gave him, you were just like, oh, I like that. I like being called, like, or did you guys talk? Did you look at his photos? Were you like, you're kind of hot? Like, what was?
No, I didn't even think he was that hot. Like, it was like, okay, I'm going to go the other route, right? Because like my ex-boyfriend, who apparently was having like inappropriate conversations with somebody.
Right.
First you said it was a guy, but it wasn't. Okay, we know that. But I can't. Sorry. It's so childish what I just did.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
My boyfriend that I just broke up with.
Oh yeah.
Over the weekend, like posted a pornographic picture, and he said it was accident. Wait, anyway, it doesn't matter.
What a dick.
I forgot what my point was. Oh yeah.
I have a Band-Aid. Did you see my Band-Aid? I just want to like call attention to it because everybody's probably looking. I burned myself cooking.
But that's like a womanly scar.
Oh, all I do is cook for this man.
I want someone to cook for. Does anybody want me to cook for you?
I like to cook.
Don't call me sunshine right away. Unless you're Italian and from Jersey.
How about Dollface?
I mean, it depends. You know what I mean? Like Stephanie Patty, you know who you are. We went out one night in Soho. She came to my apartment to sleep over, and we went to dinner. And right when we're leaving this restaurant, there was like 4 Italian men. And they said, "Hey, beautifuls, you want to come for drinks with us?" And I was like, obviously. That's like, I don't know. Like,
she's so cute though. She's so beautiful and like so happily married.
So happily married. I always use their relationship as like a go-to.
I know. I think everybody does.
Right? And
yeah.
So we get in this car, and she's like, "I don't want to get in the car." I'm like, "Just get in the car." And we go to Cipriani's in Soho. And I mean, they're just ordering all kinds of stuff. And they're definitely like, I don't know if they're in the mob or whatever, but the guy has like a Super Bowl ring on. So Steph, as innocent and lovely and beautiful as she is.
So beautiful.
I hear out of this ear, as I'm talking to this guy, I hear Steph go, "Where'd you get the Super Bowl ring? But where'd you get the Super Bowl ring? But where'd you get the Super Bowl ring?" Because obviously the man doesn't want to answer it. So finally I look at her and I'm like, "Maybe you shouldn't." He goes, "I cut someone's finger off that owed me money and took it. You happy?" I was like, "Okay." Well. So
and she was like, "What'd she say?" What'd she say?
Oh, okay. So we have an amazing time. And there was like this African-American man that like went outside. He was with us. And when he went out, he didn't speak English. When he went outside, the one guy said to the other guy, "You go watch him." So they went and watched him while we sat and talked and drank and ate more food. And then, who knows what that was about? I don't know what that was about. So then at the end of this meal, the guy takes out a wad of, like a wad, people like a wad, like thousands and thousands of dollars, throws down. And he's like, "Do you ladies want to go dancing?" And I was like, "Probably, of course. Like, why wouldn't I? I mean, this is amazing stuff." So they're like, "Well, we got to take care of something. We'll be done in an hour." Oh. And I was like, "Oh, can we come with you?" They're like, "No, it's not appropriate." So they throw the African-American guy in the car and they take off. And an hour and a half later, they called us. They're like, "We're ready. Do you want to go dancing?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know if that man survived. I don't know what that was about." But he was very uncomfortable at the dinner table.
Was he?
Yeah, like he was worried. He was concerned. But like the poor man sat there for like 2.5 hours while we drank and ate. And he was just like.
That is old school, man. That is so old school. Holy shit.
Maybe he did speak English and he didn't, because I just assume he didn't speak English.
He spoke English. There's a part of me that loves that shit. I find it cinematic as hell. And I feel like that whole culture and that whole thing, but even that TV show Peaky Blinders, they're kind of, it takes place in Birmingham, I think, or not Birmingham.
Is it in Ireland, right?
No, it's in the North Yorkshire. It's in the north of England. And anyway, the point is that they're doing this real kind of gangster thing. It's not Italian, but they're gypsies. And it
turns me on kind of.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And Cillian Murphy is the lead and he's just brilliant in it. He's so gorgeous, but so tough and great. And he changed like his physicality for this role. So his shoulders are out and he sort of walks like this. And he just created this, because, Cillian Murphy is super kind of artsy, dude.
Yeah,
he's like a vegan, but he plays this sort of lad, with like a pea cap, and he's like changed his whole vibe to play this character. And I don't know, I just think it's like really, really brilliant. You should check it out. You have to sometimes though, I know people who have to put on the
subtitles, right?
Yeah, because the accent is so thick that people are just like, I don't know what the hell they're talking about.
I started to watch it and I think I was having that because I was like tired.
Yeah, you got to put on the subtitles. I hate to cut this short, but I wanted to ask you before we go, where people could read your stuff if they wanted to. Where can they find you? What are you doing next?
So I have a website that has some of my published pieces on there, and it's just my name, Liz Montgomery.
Okay.
Liz Montgomery.
We'll put it up. We'll make sure to put it up.
Yeah, LizMontgomeryWriter.com. What am I working next? I am writing a book. I'm almost finished with my proposal. And it's like a memoir, a dark comedy about my dating life, obviously.
Oh my God.
Which is very revealing. And there's doctors involved that shouldn't be having sex with their patients. I
know about all of it.
Yeah.
By the way.
He got really nervous, by the way. He saw my thing on Twitter and called me. And I was like, I don't say it to you, so it's very narcissistic of you to think that it is you.
Yeah. And just tell them, everybody already knows anyway. So
Everyone, yeah.
we all know.
We all called your wife. What are you talking about?
We all know. You
Oh.
can't, there's like 10 of us.
I'm sorry.
You could try to kill a couple of us, but you're not going to get all of us. We all know it.
Friends, especially Stuart, you're not going to get her.
No way. That was so fun. We can't even like talk about that. But, and so you're writing a book and your writing is at your website, and that's exciting about the book. That's amazing. I would love to do this with you again soon.
I know. I mean, I love it. It was so fun.
This was fun. And we'll just keep doing it. Because like I said, this is definitely one of those things where we were doing this no matter what. It was going to be in a studio. It will be in a studio again in Secaucus. And it's going to be like a 3-camera shoot. It's beautiful. But
Secaucus.
It's Secaucus. And we're going to be there eventually. But now we're all right. So this sort of video way of doing it is fine, but it's all going to be so much more fun when we can all be in the room and there could be more than one of us. And it'll be, I'm looking forward to that. And we're going to do all kinds of stuff. I'm going to have my cousin on and we're going to be doing a cooking segment.
Oh,
which I'm super psyched. He's this amazing chef who travels all over the world. And we're going to do a Sunday Italian dinner together. And he's going to put up all the ingredients and everybody can get them ahead of time and we'll all meet up and we'll cook this thing together with him. It'll be so fun.
Is he saying?
He is. I think he is.
Because you just said Italian and I got excited.
I didn't even think of that.
Just saying. I don't know how old he is.
He's the best. He's so sweet. He's a little older than us. We'll talk about him off camera, but I love you.
I love you.
Thank you for doing this. This was so fun. And I'll be in touch with you really soon.
Yes. Awesome.
All right. Bye, honey.
So much fun.
Bye.